Okay, sorry, let me try again.
No, I like that.
Okay. So, I was debating on not whether to make this video. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but the truth is, I haven't found my people yet. I've been putting music out since 2016. I'm sort of feeling like if my ability to make a living as an artist depends on how I market myself and how I put myself out there, then I would rather do it in a way that feels authentic to me. I'm done following BS trends, all of that stuff. People do this, do that. I'm just going to put myself out there in a way that I feel is comfortable and authentic because honestly, I feel like I'm getting further and further away from the purpose to why I started making music in the first place. And that doesn't feel like a great place to be. If that doesn't get likes or follows or whatever, I think that that's more valuable to me. my wife. I think that that's more valuable to me than following some BS trend and trying to appeal to basically kids on social media platforms. Like that doesn't feel like the place to create art from or to try and make a living as an artist. So I'm embarking on that journey. I don't know what the hell it's going to look like. I'm terrified, but here we go. Okay, hold on, let me rewind. For anybody that doesn't know me, or if this is your first time seeing one of my videos, my name is Dylan Cartledge. I'm an alternative hip hop artist. I started making music in 2016. I quit my bar job and I got the opportunity to sign a contract with a publisher. So I basically signed a contract to quit my job for a year, and it was sort of incentivized that if I could make it happen in that year, or if I could kind of, get things happening, write some dope songs, then it would kind of extend. And I took that plunge and began writing music. From that point onwards, I got to do some really, really cool things. I got to travel all over the world. I got to play Glastonbury here in the UK. I also got to play South by Southwest in the States. I got to work with some of my heroes. I featured on Cheat Codes, the album with Danger Mouse and Blackford. I was a part of a beta squad project that was really cool. And I got to be in a documentary called The Mighty Red Car, which was all about young people in the town that I'm from. And it was just super, super cool. And I'm super grateful for those experiences. There's been mountaintop highs, legit mountaintop highs, and absolutely devilish lows. But throughout it, I can't help but feeling like I've kind of fell through the cracks a little bit or kind of been slept on. The music hasn't found its home yet. And that's okay because I'm actively trying to change that. And just to throw it out there, this isn't me being ungrateful for the opportunities that I've had or, first world problems whinging about not having fans or not kind of being where I want to be. I think that's totally valid and honest to feel that way. And I also think that, you shouldn't really compare yourself to other people. But it is, I think, a good thing to be aware of, like, obviously, your own situation and how that relates to other people's. For context, I have been a fighter. I've always been a fighter. I grew up in foster care. By the time I was 6 years old, I'd spent 50% of my entire life in foster care. I've been to 10 different foster placements. Got adopted. It didn't work out. It broke down. I got given back, essentially. I was in a newspaper advert trying to get given away. It was kind of mad, I've never had anything for free, and I've always had to work my way up and kind of, and fight, basically. That's a big part of why I began making music, is that I felt like I wanted to make sure that my experiences and a lot of other kids that I knew that went through these experiences weren't going to be silenced, weren't going to be voiceless. There's so many talented people I know from kind of where I'm from and the areas I'm from and the circumstances I'm from, and the statistics are so grim around a lot of people like myself that it just wasn't I just wasn't going to let that be where it ended. I wasn't going to just be another statistic. And so I began listening to music. I fell in love with Kid Cudi's music because it made me feel like I wasn't alone. It reached out to me. It made me feel seen and heard, which is a very powerful thing. And that's something that I hope to do with my music. Sorry, the GoPro just died. But that's my whole reason for making music, channeling my life experience, the trauma that I've been through, the trauma that I've survived, the growth post that trauma, getting through addiction, a lot of those different things a lot of people struggle with, having experienced childhood trauma. And I channel it into music that I feel like is hopeful, groovy, kind of takes in the influences from the musical forefathers that I've been inspired by, and also people that I feel like are on the cutting edge right now, making really cool art and really cool music. And I combine it into a sound that I think is really cool, and I think represents who I am, really. So this is it. Not everybody's going to like it. If I have X amount of time to promote myself, I would rather spend that time making something that I feel like is wholly reflective of who I am. Some people are telling me I shouldn't do this actively. It probably won't fit in the trends. It's probably not going to get a lot of likes, follows, or whatever. But this is what I'm choosing to do. And I will live and die by the sword of authentic content around who I am, why I started doing this, and what kind of journey it's going to entail following that. I feel awkward at the best of times talking to camera. I feel really good about talking to people, doing interviews like that, but I still feel really awkward talking to a camera. You can probably tell in this video. I can't be alone in this feeling. There must be other artists or creatives out there that are feeling a bit lost, a bit disillusioned, feeling like they're struggling to get their break. I think that's part and parcel of the process. I am very thankful for all the opportunities I've had. I've done some really cool stuff. I've met some really amazing people, and I know that there are people that are in a less fortunate position than me and a more fortunate position or whatever. But I think it's really important to not compare yourself to too many other people. But to get context, some of the artists that I absolutely look up to, creatives artists that I look up to, that I think, oh God, if I just had what they had or whatever. And they struggle a lot in different ways to me in different areas, and that's cool. It's all part of the process. So I wanted to put that out there. And some of my favorite artists like Portugal the Man, Charles Bradley, Bill Withers. I mean, Bill Withers didn't even pick up a guitar till he was 30, 31, I think. Portugal the Man were like 8 or 9 albums deep before they had their break with Feel It Still. And Charles Bradley, I think, was a James Brown tribute act until he was in his 60s. God rest his soul. What an absolute G. And he had, like, in my opinion, one of the defining voices of a generation. And it would have been so sad if nobody ever got to hear him because he gave up somewhere along the way. So I really am not trying to subscribe to this whole pop machine 16-year-old football career type thing where if it hasn't worked out by X amount of time in the way that you hoped it would, then it's all for nothing and you're done. I'm not saying that means you should just endlessly pursue things. I think you have to be realistic about things. At the end of the day, it does get to a point where if you're doing it for a living, it is a business, but that means you can't enjoy it. I don't want people to think that this is just me saying that, like, you can't enjoy music or there's no point pursuing music if you're not doing it for a career. It's totally different, but there is a big, big difference between making music in your spare time or being an artist in your spare time and trying to do it as a career, even though there's lots of overlap. I think I'm just talking about the career aspect more than anything, and that feeling of those two worlds meeting, really. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I'm excited to be along this journey with you, and I'll see y'all there.